Muy buenas noches y bienvenidos nuevamente a la serie internacional de tiempo de mercadeo del año 2013. La semana pasada estuvimos hablando con John Mariotti sobre las guías que da en su libro, en su más reciente obra, para que las empresas puedan crecer de manera rentable en un entorno competitivo. Hemos hablado sobre los 5 pasos que deben seguirse y vamos a continuar con él hablando sobre ello para poder tener éxito en las organizaciones, en un mercadeo o con un mercadeo que sea efectivo y que sea sencillo de desarrollar. Esto lo haremos en unos segundos al regresar. Ya volvemos. Hi, John. Good evening. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you. Now, let's connect this program to the last one, last week. We ended up talking about the way we have to be in contact with our customers, with the market. Most people are not in contact and not, letting the customer talk. And we have said something throughout the years. Anybody, no matter who that anybody is, could be somebody who knows about your business, who don't really know about your business. Anybody you ask a question will have an answer and a suggestion. Is that right?
Yeah, that's probably true. There's a more indelicate way about saying that's what everybody else has one of, but they all have an idea on what the right answer is.
Absolutely. I remember once we asked people from the farms what they would like to have in their shoes, or what kind of shoes they would like to have. And they said, a pair of shoes that we don't have to clean, which is, understandable, because they were in the farms, they were walking on the grass, and it's logical. I mean, when you think about it, you say, hey, this is something, just a pair of shoes that never get, dirty, a pair of shoes they don't have to clean. That's good. That's a good question. Now, the thing is, can you get it? Can you offer that pair of shoes? And the answer is yes. Chemically, you can do it, but the cost will be really incredibly high. So, I mean, the market is not prepared for that yet. Okay, but then you have to connect what you were saying last week with the planning, the marketing planning and everything. How is that?
The answer is you may not be able to solve every problem quite that simply. But if you look for unmet needs, one of the best examples in the United States anyway is somebody realized that consumers are short of time. So what they decided is if they take chunks of lettuce, heads of lettuce or stalks of lettuce, chopped it up and put it in a bag, they could take what would normally cost $1 or $1.50 for a bundle of lettuce, and that would make enough to fill 4 bags at $2.50 each. And people would buy it because they didn't have to take the time to chop up the lettuce because they were busy. So the answer is there are those kind of solutions around if you're smart enough to look for it. Another example is a very popular charm bracelet in the United States now for ladies is made by Pandora, and the charms are all cylindrical. And they show the characters and everything. The old charm bracelets used to have dangly charms. And they would snag the clothing, and they would snag the sweaters, and the charms would get pulled off and drop on the floor. Well, these are all nice and round and neat. Well, Pandora just invented that a few years ago, less than 5 years ago. And it's a multi-billion-dollar business already. So there are those kind of solutions. But the real key is to understand, as we talk, value. And the second key, and this is true in any business, not just in marketing or whatever, is to have the best people looking for these kind of things, to have people who have inquisitive minds, who have open minds, and who believe that they can find a solution. You'll never take a journey if you're afraid that the first step will not get you there. You need somebody who will take that journey. And then the second part of that is those people have to have a cast of partners that they work with who bring them ideas. And I'll finish this off with what cast means. Cast stands for 4 kinds of partners. Customers, C, associates, suppliers, and truth tellers, which are those people that tell us when we have a really bad idea. But if you have the right cast, working with the right people, you have a powerful organizational tool to build that competitive advantage that we talked about in the first session.
All that has to be taken into a marketing plan.
It absolutely does have to be taken into account. In fact, the 5th piece of this puzzle is information.
Yes.
There's a lot of information out there. If people just know where to look for it and how to sort out the right stuff the wheat from the chaff, we would say, or to sort the right stuff from the useless stuff. There is so much information that companies who have the most knowledge, based on the most information, can gain a competitive advantage just based on that. Amazon, for example, has incredible information based on what people buy there. You pull up an item, and they show you what you bought recently. They even suggest some other things you might want. Even if you haven't bought anything, based on what you're looking at, they'll show you what other people bought.
They are killing me with that.
Okay. Now, the point is, that is a use of information that helps them find where they are successful and do more of it. That's, remember path 2? Find out why you're successful and do more of it. What they're doing is say, we sold Carlos this thing, so we have a good chance of selling him this one that's a lot like it next time around. So top people with a cast of partners need good information. You bundle all that together, now you have the basis for making a plan. And if you don't have a plan, how do you know where you're going?
Yeah, right.
That's what a roadmap is all for. That's what this book is called, Roadmap to Profitable Growth. If you don't have a map, you get lost easily.
Yeah, if you don't know where you're going, you're already there.
If it doesn't matter where you're going, any road will take you there.
Of course.
But we don't want any road. We want the one that leads to growth.
Yes.
And in low growth markets, we especially want that to lead to profitable growth.
Yes, because you could go from Columbus to Cleveland taking Route 71 north, right? But you can also go there by going through Pittsburgh. But that will be a 6-hour drive. But that's another road to go. So, yeah. So, and you can go by going to Dayton, Toledo, and, you know, that will be another way. Or if you go to Chicago, you can take another one.
Let me share a saying with you that your listeners will remember always. Listen carefully. If you don't go where you don't go, you won't know what you don't know. Now, I have a friend named Steve Gouillart, who was a marketing executive for me, and he said, people get tunnel vision. They always go to work the same way. They always develop products the same way. They always approach the market the same way. They always sell to the customer the same way. If they take the blinders off and get rid of the tunnel vision, if they go places they don't go, they'll learn things they didn't know.
Of course. If they keep doing the same thing, they will be getting the same thing.
Yeah. We had a humorist in the United States named Will Rogers. He said, even if you're in the groove, it'll become a rut.
Okay, John, we're going to have to go to another commercial break and we'll be right back, okay? Vamos a ir entonces a unos comerciales y ya estamos de nuevo con ustedes. Ya regresamos. John and I were talking about the retail business and the future of retail. What do you think it is going to be with Amazon and eBay and the e-commerce growing the way they are?
Well, America has been over-retailed for decades, too many stores. Other countries, in following things that America did, are making the same mistake. The necessary outcome is there's a shakeout. But what's happened further is what you refer to, and that's been a technological
But that's because of follow the leader, you know.
That's right. They see the big companies and they follow them. But the problem is this technological revolution has set everybody back. Because what it has done is it allowed people to shop for physical items in the stores, but then go buy them online. And the store can't afford to sell them as cheaply as the online retailer. So the result of that is that stores are coming under increasing pressure. It's called showrooming, in which a Best Buy in electronics is one of the best examples. They built these big, beautiful stores, but they had to be 20% higher priced than Amazon. So people would go look at the TV or the camera or whatever, check which one they liked, and then they'd go home and buy for 20% less on Amazon. So now Best Buy is shrinking their stores.
Plus they get them at home without going out.
That's right. Best Buy is shrinking their stores. The second thing is, especially during this last downturn in the United States, there are more people that are either unemployed or underemployed. Underemployed means that where one person earned the money for a household, now maybe two have to, or maybe where they worked one job, they have to work two jobs. What happens? Time pressure increases and pressure on the budget increases. So what you're seeing more and more of is stores like the dollar stores in the United States, Dollar General and Dollar Tree, very low-end product, functional, not that great, but it works. You can buy a hairbrush there, you can buy a can of beans or whatever. And they're spreading them out because they're smaller, they can be spread out locally very conveniently. So you drive by one on the way home from work without spending extra $4 a gallon gas. And what retailing is doing is becoming increasingly concentrated on being responsive to consumers' pressures, price and time mostly. Now, there are a level of retailers, the Louis Vuittons of the world, who are serving the very rich, and they keep moving up. So retailing is following the pattern of the consumer population. The rich get lots of money, so they sell them expensive stuff, and the masses of people make less money, so they're more interested in the best possible value, which works for mid to low-end discount stores. It doesn't work for the great big box stores because they're too expensive to maintain.
Oh, so you would say that big department stores are going to have to adapt to change a lot in order to be profitable from now on?
One of the best examples of a big department store that's doing pretty well right now is Macy's. What Macy's has decided they're going to do is they use a lot of celebrity endorsers to increase the
They
prestige
changed a lot.
of the product, and they have localized a lot of assortments. A Macy's in one area won't have the same assortment as a Macy's in another area. They upscale or downscale or regionalize their assortment because they have so many different items. If they carry them all the same everywhere, you can only be sure it won't be right for somebody somewhere. You have to localize or regionalize, and then they use the cachet, the appeal of these big celebrity names
Yes.
to make you feel like you're getting a deal. And if you go in those stores, they have enormous sale prices. Their regular prices are quite high. In fact, I always tell my wife, only a fool pays full price there. You got to get a discount coupon somewhere or have a sale. They have been very successful in doing that. Nordstrom to a lesser extent.
Did they come out of Chapter 11? They were on Chapter 11.
Oh, but they've been free of that for a long, long time. What they did was they consolidated many of the other chains into
Yes.
Macy's. Lazarus stores, which part of Federated Stores here, Dayton Hudson, which had Marshall Field and Dayton's and Hudson's. They bought a bunch of them and put them all together, and they put them all under one brand of Macy's now. So they have been very successful in the department store trade. The place that's a problem, where the competition is still very brutal, is in between them and the low-end retailers. JCPenney is struggling now as a result of having had a CEO that thought he could make
They
it
have been
into Apple
struggling all the
stores.
time.
They've been struggling on. Sears is struggling mightily. The other stores in that tier are gone. Kohl's is doing not so bad. They're an apparel store. But, being in the middle is a tough place to be unless you can figure out what your value proposition is. And when it's to have something that looks like the other guy and be just a little bit cheaper, as soon as you say the words a little bit cheaper, price competition compresses on you because the big buyers have those big sharp pencils.
What about supermarket stores? Because, Kroger here in this area is very big, and Kroger is big in the U.S. And some other brands, I don't remember the brand or the store in California, but what about supermarkets?
I'll characterize supermarkets this way, and this is not a scientific study, it's just something that I did to solve an argument I have with my wife about which stores were how much more expensive than which other stores.
Let me tell you why I'm asking, because you and I can, buy clothes one or twice every 6 months, but food you have to eat every day. So that's a different story.
A couple of things have happened with supermarkets. First of all, there's been some consolidation where the weaker players have fallen out. But the big players have been trying to carve out their own particular niches. For example, Walmart has a huge share of the grocery market in the United States. Kroger, in this part of the country, the other ones are heavily regionalized, but Kroger is a very large region and a very large seller. Another one here in this area is Giant Eagle, which is okay. Just on my market basket, and this may not be representative of everybody, but just 25 of the items that I shop for every month, every week, Walmart was 13% cheaper than Kroger and 17% cheaper than Giant Eagle. And yet I still shop at Kroger quite often. Why? Well,
But you said was, you didn't say is.
Walmart is still cheaper. They're tremendously cheaper. I just did this study last year, but every time I do it, they're tremendously cheaper. They don't have as big an assortment, so I can't get everything I want. Gas is $4 a gallon. So I have to run from store to store. I have to question how much gas I want to spend to go from store to store. So if I'm going to get a few items, like I came back from a trip, I needed a lot of items, took my wife with me, went to Walmart, $200. Next day, I'm at Kroger, $26. Next day, I'm at Kroger, $32. Buying the things to fill in around, because Kroger is close to me. I know they have the things I want. So what's happening in the supermarket grocery chains is not that dissimilar from what's happening in general retailing. The big discount stores, Walmart, Target to a lesser extent, their grocery business has not been that great. But Walmart, it's a big and growing part of Walmart's business because they know that it gets people into their stores every single week, and they'll buy other stuff while they're in there. The regional chains, Kroger, for example, they develop affinity programs. If I dug in my other pocket, well, I will dig in it because you can see what the result of it is. Here's my key ring. You see all these little tags on here?
Yes, yes.
All these little tags. This one says Kroger.
Uh-huh. I use it when I come to the States.
This one says Giant Eagle.
Uh-huh.
These are all affinity tags. What do they do with these? Well, they have two-tier prices. They have a price if you don't use this, and then they have a price that's lower if they do use it. Yes. But even if you use it, they're still 10% higher than Walmart. But it's cheaper than you would have paid. And with some of them, they give you discounts on gasoline, 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents a gallon. So they're using multifaceted marketing approaches to try and to create a loyalty based on a program. And that's not bad. The airlines use frequent flyers.
Uh-huh.
They're using something like this. They give you an incentive. And what they do is they blur the distinction about how much difference, free discounts on your gas when you buy at Walmart.
Okay, John, let's go to another commercial break and we'll be back for the last part of the program, okay? Vamos a ir a una tanda de comerciales y ya estamos de nuevo con ustedes para finalizar nuestro programa. John, back to the supermarket and the retail stores, department stores. Will you say that it is easier for a supermarket to sell clothes and sell, furniture and things like that than for a department store like Kohl's, which has never sold food, to sell food?
It is absolutely easier for a grocer or a food store like Kroger or others to sell, I'll call them durable goods, clothing, hardware, furniture, whatever, than it is the other way around. And I think there's two reasons for that.
Yeah, I was going to say why.
The first reason is that in a typical grocery store, 90% of the revenue comes from 10% of the items. It may be a point or two in either direction, but it's always that way. Therefore, the grocer's whole existence is based on making sure they have the right items on the shelf and testing the new items and this constant turnover. For a general merchandise store, like a clothing store, to do that is really difficult. It adds so much complexity in their merchandising and management. Secondly, many of the things in a grocery store require special fixtures, and I don't mean to hang clothes on. Refrigeration, freezers, things of this nature. If you want to sell milk, you got to have refrigerators. Now you introduce mechanical equipment with maintenance. You introduce perishability and replenishment cycles, not based on whether the product's selling, but based on how old it is. The restocking and replenishment of grocery stores is a science in itself, some of which they push back on vendors like Frito-Lay they stock all the shelves, the potato chips and pretzels and so forth. So the differences for entering the two things, where a grocery store can put a few racks up and hang clothes on them, no refrigeration, no maintenance, and relatively easy to stock. The only thing they have to do is make sure they don't get too many patterns and too many sizes. They can sell durable items because they can pick the best-selling item or two and just knock off that one and have it, and when they sell it all, it's gone, it's gone.
That's without taking into account what I love, positioning, because to reposition a supermarket selling clothes is easier than repositioning a clothing store or, that kind of stores selling food.
It comes down to what's the destination.
Uh-huh.
That's the key.
Focus and things like that.
You go to the store for the destination for what you want, and you go to a food store, it's okay that you buy additional items for convenience.
Yes.
If you go to a clothing store, well, the drugstores have been the closest to making it. You
Yeah,
go to a drugstore is not fish or fowl anymore. You can buy pharmacies there. You can buy a little bit of housewares. You can buy a little bit of everything at the Walgreens and the CVS drugstores.
It's more like a convenience store.
Yes, it's a convenience. It's become a convenience store that has a really good pharmacy is basically what it amounts to. But it's all about focus. And the whole principle that we've talked about, I've gone back to the complexity crisis and talked about how focus and how adding complexity causes waste and wastes money. And that's true in a grocery store and it's true in a clothing store. When you mix the two, you get a double whammy of complexity.
Yes.
That you have to have two kinds of skill set. Now, granted, the Walmarts of the world do manage that, but they are set up to pick a narrower piece. They're not nearly the assortment in Walmart that you'll find in Kohl's clothing, and they're not nearly the assortment in a Walmart grocery that you'll find in Kroger. So they manage it by squeezing it down this way. And going back to the original premise of the roadmap,
of Walmart, yeah.
what business are you in?
That's what I'm going to
why
say.
are
Walmart
consumers voting
started
for it?
like they are now.
Yeah.
So that's no problem.
The first path in the roadmap
Right.
is what business are you in and what are people paying you for? And the second one is why do you win when you win? As soon as Walmart starts to deviate from that, they lose. As soon as a grocery store starts to deviate from that, they lose. And then when they get compromised is when they see the big target out there, that big opportunity. If they deviate from what it is that's their core business and what it is the reasons that they win, then they don't get the big target. They finish second, third, or 10th.
That's the way it is. John, it is sad, but I'm going to have to ask the last question. Some people are saying that marketing is becoming experiential all over. Is that true? Do you agree with that? Just experiential marketing, like Bernd Schmidt said?
I believe the experiential part of marketing is a huge influence in the whole marketing hierarchy. But the reason that more and more people are going to what's called integrated marketing is that it allows them to cross between the older, more conventional features, attributes, and benefits of a product and the more esoteric, sophisticated, it makes me feel good, it makes me feel healthier, I like it better. They blur the two. And I don't think it's going to be all one or all the other. If people could all afford to pay whatever they wanted for things, then clearly they would buy the premium things for the experience values, but they can't. So they have to go back and buy. So marketing in the most simple terms, when I learned it, is marketing is having what will sell. Sales is selling what you have. So marketing's job is to figure out what will sell to the target customers that is your business. And then doing a superb job of that and understanding why you win when you win and understand why you lose when you lose, and then just keep edging over, but don't jump over the boundary, because the final thought is everybody talks about we're going to grow by entering new markets. Well, I have news for them. Those new markets are somebody else's old market, and they will not be welcome in those markets, and it will be a very bloody battle to get in somebody else's market.
And by doing what you and I have been talking about, then people will be on the road to profitable growth.
That's right, and they will have a roadmap, that little book, and that book is designed to be a roadmap. In fact, I seriously thought about printing it on a roadmap, but it would have been too complicated. But it is the shortest book I've ever written, because I wanted people to concentrate on the most important things. And once they got those and focused on those, then they can find profitable growth. And when they find profitable growth, their company prospers, their employees prosper, and if you multiply that times thousands, the economy of whatever country they're in prospers.
Well, John, it is sad that we have to say goodbye because we are running out of time. I really appreciate what you've done, and I thank you very much.
Well, I appreciate being here, and you ask wonderful questions, and I hope I've given you something to think about.
Thank you, John. Ya ustedes vieron entonces, por el momento no es más, los invitamos a que sigan pendientes de nuestra serie internacional. Muchas gracias y una feliz noche. Competitivo. Hemos hablado sobre los 5 pasos que deben seguirse y vamos a continuar con él hablando sobre ello para poder tener éxito en las organizaciones, en un mercadeo o con un mercadeo que sea efectivo y que sea sencillo de desarrollar. Esto lo haremos en unos segundos al regresar. Ya volvemos. Hi, John. Good evening. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you. Now, let's connect this program to the last one, last week. We ended up talking about the way we have to be in contact with our customers, with the market. Most people are not in contact and not, letting the customer talk. And we have said something throughout the years. Anybody, no matter who that anybody is, could be somebody who knows about your business, who don't really know about your business. Anybody you ask a question will have an answer and a suggestion. Is that right?
Probably true. There's a more indelicate way about saying that's what everybody else has one of, but they all have an idea on what the right answer is.
And the answer is yes. Chemically, you can do it, but the cost will be really incredibly high. So, I mean, the market is not prepared for that yet. Okay, but then you have to connect what you were saying last week with the planning, the marketing planning and everything. How is that?
The answer is you may not be able to solve every problem quite that simply. But if you look for unmet needs, one of the best examples in the United States anyway is somebody realized that consumers are short of time. So what they decided is if they take chunks of lettuce, heads of lettuce or stalks of lettuce.
Absolutely. I remember once we asked people from the farms what they would like to have in their shoes or what kind of shoes they would like to have. And they said, a pair of shoes that we don't have to clean, which is, understandable because they were in the farms. They were walking on the grass, and it's logical. I mean, when you think about it, you say, hey, this is something, just a pair of shoes that never get, dirty, a pair of shoes they don't have to clean. That's good. That's a good question. Now, the thing is, can you get it? Can you offer that pair of shoes? Muy buenas noches y bienvenidos nuevamente a la serie internacional de tiempo de mercadeo del año 2013. La semana pasada estuvimos hablando con John Mariotti sobre las guías que da en su libro, en su más reciente obra, para que las empresas puedan crecer de manera rentable en un entorno